Now, speaking of the pro-life movement and the leaked Supreme Court draft opinion, the highest court recently heard another major case, this one on religious freedom. Now, earlier this week, the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 after the city of Boston discriminated against a man named Harold Shurtleff wanting to fly a Christian flag in front of a city hall. Justice Stephen Breyer saying the First Amendment prevents the city from discriminating against individuals and their viewpoints. The unanimous ruling is now a big win for religious freedom nationwide. And with me now to discuss all of this news circulating the highest court in the land, he is the chairman of Project 21, Horace Cooper. Hi, Horace. Glad you can join us. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
Horace, let's talk about the political motivation behind this leak. The fact that this draft is currently online for people to see is unprecedented.
It's not just unprecedented. Let's start with this may or may not have been a crime, but it is a terribly egregious action attacking one of the three principal elements of government. We have the president, we have the legislature, that's Congress, and we have the Supreme Court. Our three branches were created to operate in a harmonious way to protect the liberty of the American people. This brazen attack on the court undermines its ability to carry out its responsibilities. Here's what we want from a court. We want them to focus like a laser on the actual issues that are under dispute, to really refine and get the best, not close enough, not good enough, not okay, I'm going to phone it in, but really, really logical and reasoned arguments, whether someone is in the majority opinion or whether they are a dissenter. That's what we want. What this did was it made that much harder because now, once you put your argument in writing, even if it's just your first try at it, there is the risk now that that can be exposed. Very few people in the high scrutiny world arena that we have now will want to step in and do that under the idea that this could happen. Not just at the Supreme Court, but at a district court or at an appellate court.
Yeah, unbelievable. Do you think this will actually intimidate the justices to change their minds?
Well, I actually do think that that's its intention. It's May, and that date stamp is February. That means that this has been held for some time. We don't know what the iteration or development or change has been in all of that time. I know with the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, that majority shifted back and forth multiple times between the time that the initial count was taken in the private conference room and when the final ruling or opinion came out. So I don't know where they actually are, but what I do know is it appears that there was some attempt to use the initial opening argument as a way to intimidate Supreme Court justices who might wish to reconsider if a ruling might be subject to the kind of criticism that we're seeing.
I mean, yeah,
if you note, the left-wing media is way more interested in the substance of the draft than they are in the likely criminal or ethical violation associated with getting it.
Yeah, they're not talking about that portion. Horace, Biden has not been consistent with his views on abortion. I think we actually have sound of that. Let's listen to it, and then I'll get your reaction.
I do not view abortion as a choice and a right. I think it's always a tragedy. And I think that it should be rare and safe. And I think we should be focusing on how to limit the number of abortions. And there ought to be able to have a common ground and consensus as to do that. I think the vast majority of the American people think that can be done. But unfortunately, we're put in a position you either eliminate abortions under all circumstances or it's, quote, abortion on demand. The fact of the matter is I've never known of a woman having an abortion and say, by the way, I feel like having an abortion. It's always a tragic decision made, always a difficult decision.
You won't see that on mainstream media.
No, but what you should realize upon watching this is that this individual, the president, has changed from being someone concerned who recognized the evil that abortion is and that taxpayers shouldn't be forced to support it, even that the original ruling was really illogical. When I used to teach constitutional law, I had to bring this case forward as an example of how the court can, in the modern era, get law wrong and how bizarrely that they operate. He is now, our president, captured completely by the woke left, and every single position that he now advocates is identical, if not scripted for him, by the woke left. Shame on him, and shame on the devastating effect that his policies have had on the destruction of unborn babies, and especially so within the black community.
Speaking of that, Jen Psaki is pushing the narrative that people of color will suffer the most if Roe v. Wade is overturned. What does that even mean?
Well, black Americans, when I was born, were the second largest population in America. Black Americans are now the third largest population in America, and they're in a battle with Asian Americans to see which is going to be the larger minority group. If we had not had the radical abortion policies that Planned Parenthood and Margaret Sanger, the eugenicist, pushed, our population would be double its size, and we would actually be the second largest population. The irony of the so-called woke supporters who claim they are for black Americans is that their policies have led to the massive slaughter of black children, along with their efforts to slaughter other children as well. The only way this evens out is if they kill even more babies of other races. At present, it is true that if poor people, if people who are minorities aren't given an extra push that the left wants to give, more of their babies will live. For whatever reason, it appears the left doesn't want more black babies. The left doesn't want more minorities. And the left doesn't want more people who are working class or poor. I don't know what kind of evil you call that, but it is definitely evil.
That is horrible. Just think about that, folks. Think about what Horace just said. Horace, as always, good to see you. Horace Cooper of Project 21, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.